today we are going to learn about different shapes of the orbitals. So what is the meaning of orbital? Orbital is defined as the probability of finding the electron around the nucleus is called as orbital. So basing on the probability of the electron around the nucleus, here we are having the different names of the orbitals. One is of here is shapes of orbitals we want to learn. Here one is the s orbital, second one is of p orbital, third one is d orbital, f orbital, and so on. So we want to learn only about these three orbitals, SPD orbitals only, and their shapes. Here it is, and of course orbital, it is a three-dimensional, but it is a picture only. That's why we may consider the three axes for drawing of all these varieties of the three orbitals. So here the first s orbital, the shape of s orbital is of spherical in shape. Spherical means that is of the circular shape. Here is, now we have to take the three of the axis x, y and the z. This is the three axis x, y, z. Three axes usually they are perpendicular to one to each other, and here now come to the shape of the orbital s. That should be, here it is of spherical in manner. So this is the shape of s orbital. Very simple one. This is of, and the second one is the p orbital here. Here the shape of p orbital is of dumbbell shape. Dumbbell. So here the p orbitals, they are divided into three varieties. That is, one is of px orbital, the second one is of py, the third one is of pz orbital. Now come to the shape of the px orbital. Now have to take the x-axis, here x, and this is of y, and here it is of z-axis. Now the first orbital is of px. That's why the here is the dumbbell that should be along the x-axis only. So have to draw the shape of the dumbbell along the x-axis like this. So now this is to be called as the px orbital. Similarly, now come to the py orbital. Now being the three axes mutually perpendicular to each other, you may take any of the axes at your convenience. So for my convenience, here I am considering the axis as the y axis, and this is of x, and this one is of z. Now this time the dumbbell that should be along the y axis only. So have to draw the dumbbell now this time along the y axis like this. So this is the shape of the py orbital, and the third one is of z. So here this time you have to take the z axis, and here it is the y axis or x union. Now this is of x. Now the dumbbell, now this should be along the z axis like this. So like that, here we have the shapes of px, py and pz orbitals like this. The same the diagram for the p orbitals you may draw in another variety also, that is of this time I want to take the three axes at a time, that is of, here is x axis, and this is y, and here is the z axis, Now one is the dumbbell along the x-axis, and one more it is of along the y-axis like this, and the third one is of along the z-axis. So this is the combination of three orbitals px, py, pz. So individually have to draw the px, py, pz orbitals like this, and the combination of the three orbitals that results as in the form of this shape, that is of this one is the shape or the model of showing you the p orbitals. Now come to the, now we have the go for the shapes of the d orbitals. D orbitals, they are designated as, one is of dxy, second one is dyz, third one dzx, fourth one dx square minus y square, and the last one is of dz square. So these five are to be called as the d orbitals here. Now I want to show you the shapes of these five degenerate orbitals of d. So meaning of degenerate means the orbitals which are having the same energy levels or the same energy conditions are to be called it as degenerate orbitals. Same is the degeneration we can apply for the p orbitals. There we have already we have discussed the px, py and pz. These three are to be called as the degenerate orbitals of p. But s orbital, it won't have any degenerate, itself it is having only the one orbital. So dxy, now this time dxy orbital, now have to take the x, and here is the y, and this is of z axis. Now the shape of the d orbital is of double dumbbell. So this time have to take, now the one is the dumbbell, have to show like this, and the second one is here like this. So this is of dxy orbital. Similarly dyz, here is the y axis, this is the z axis, and here is the x axis. Now this time the two dumbbells, they are now on the y and z axis like this, dzx. Here is the z axis, x axis, and this is y. Now the two dumbbells, now this time is on both z and x axis, and we are left with two more of the d orbitals, that is of dx square minus y square. So here is x, this is of y, and this time the dumbbells, they are present on the axis, that is of both x and y, and have to show this z axis like this. So this is the shape of dx square minus y square, and the last one is of dz square. Here is the x, this is of z axis, this is of y. Now the dumbbells, they are on the z axis. One is the dumbbell, now this one is the second one. So we have the dz square, that d orbital like this. So altogether here we have the shapes of the d orbitals, and like this we can have the different shapes for the remaining of the orbitals also, that you are going to learn in detail in your higher classes.